When I redesigned our living room, my husband's family came and replaced everything, smiling. A wife follows the husband's family style. My husband shrugged. It's just how it is. Smiling, I let them finish, then the next morning, they returned to a house that left them in absolute shock. When I redesigned my living room, I wasn't just picking paint colors, I was reclaiming space. My name's Layla. I'm in my late 30s, live just outside Cincinnati, and I've been an interior designer long enough to know what I like. Clean lines, warm textures, earth tones with little moments of brass and light. I'd spent months putting together that room, piece by piece, memory by memory. William, my husband of 5 years, always said, "Do whatever you want. You're the expert." So I did. I paid the down payment, filed the deed in my name, made a home we both could breathe in. Or so I thought. Then came the visit. His family, Violet, Molly, Tess, and Ed, rolled up on a bright Sunday afternoon, claiming they wanted to see how we were settling in. But the moment they stepped through the door, I felt it. The whispering, the judging glances. Violet barely waited 5 minutes before muttering, "A wife follows the husband's family style." William? He just shrugged. "It's just how it is." I smiled. Not out of agreement, out of calculation. Because I'd heard those words before. And this time, I wasn't going to let them settle in. Not without a plan. They came back 3 days later. No warning this time, just a text from William that said, "Heads up, Mom's bringing a few things over." A few things turned out to be 4 boxes, 2 suitcases, and a rolled-up area rug big enough to carpet a ballroom. Violet marched through the front door like she owned the place, pointed straight at the wall and said, "That color's too cold. A family room should feel like home." Tess was right behind her, lugging in a brass chandelier like she'd just won it at auction. Molly followed with throw pillows in hand, thick floral ones in mauve and gold that smelled like lavender sachets and dust. I didn't say anything. Not yet. I just stood in the corner of my own living room, the one I spent months curating, watching them dismantle it like it was some seasonal display they'd stumbled across at a garage sale. My linen curtains? Taken down. My handmade ceramic vases? Packed up, boxed, and replaced with artificial flower arrangements. My shelves were wiped clean literally and filled with outdated photo frames, religious quotes in distressed wood, and candles that hadn't been lit since 2003. I looked at William, waiting, hoping. He didn't even look at me, just held the ladder while Tess screwed in the new chandelier. I walked over to him, kept my voice low, steady. "Are you going to say anything?" He shrugged. "It's not worth a fight. They're just trying to help." I felt something splinter right then. Not just anger. Not just frustration. Something deeper. Like the ground under me had quietly shifted and I was the only one who noticed. Violet walked past me carrying a framed painting of the Last Supper and smiled like a queen surveying her kingdom. "We're making it feel like a real home now." "No," I wanted to say. "You're turning it into a replica of your own house. You're trying to erase me." But I said nothing. I let them finish. Let them do what they came to do. Because deep down I already knew this wasn't about design. It was about control. It was about power. And William? He had just picked a side. I stood there in silence while they wrapped my identity in tissue paper and shoved it into boxes. But I wasn't defeated. I was collecting information. And I had already started planning my next move. I started noticing it in small pieces at first, one of my ceramic bowls missing from the kitchen shelf. A framed print from my college mentor gone from the hallway wall. The brass watering can I'd kept near the fireplace vanished. I asked William about them casually, like I wasn't unraveling. He blinked and said maybe I'd just moved them or packed them away during the chaos. But I hadn't. I never would. Something felt off. I checked the garage. Boxes I'd labeled living room, fragile, had been opened. One of them had the label half ripped, like someone tried to peel it off and gave up. Tucked behind the water heater, I found a half-crushed box hidden under a drop cloth. Inside, nothing. It was one I'd packed myself, filled with personal items I hadn't seen in weeks. I stood there, staring at the empty space, my hands shaking. Later that night, while William was in the shower, I dug through the back of our closet. I didn't know what I was looking for, but I found it anyway, an envelope wedged between his old suits. Inside were 2 folded receipts, both from a storage rental facility, dated weeks before Violet's first friendly visit. The name on the signature line? Williams. They hadn't just taken over my home. They'd planned for it. Prepared. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't overreacting. I was being replaced. The next day, I didn't mention the receipts. I played normal. I smiled when Violet stopped by with a casserole dish and more family-approved table linens. She didn't even ask before swapping out my runner for her heavy lace one. Molly smirked when I didn't say a word. Tess said something about this finally feeling right. I said nothing. I let them think they were winning. But that night, just before bed, my phone buzzed. A text. From Jason, William's cousin. We weren't close, but he'd always been kind in the background, quiet at family events. Jason, hey. I know what they're doing. You're not the first. My heart stopped. I replied, what do you mean? Jason, they did this to William's last girlfriend. Not as bad. But yeah, she left within 6 months. Took her months to get her stuff back. I didn't say anything sooner because I didn't think they'd do it again. But now I know better. I sat on the edge of the bed, the phone glowing in my palm. My skin chilled. I hadn't just been gaslit. I was following a pattern. One they'd used before. And William, he wasn't confused. He was complicit. The morning after Jason's text, I didn't confront anyone. I didn't scream or cry or demand answers. I made banana bread. I lit a citrus candle. I played the perfect hostess. Because if they were going to treat me like some decorative object in my own home, I could act the part just long enough to flip the entire script. That night, I sent a text to Theo, my old friend from design school who now ran a moving and storage company. Years ago, I helped him stage his studio for free. He never forgot it. Me, need a quiet crew. Midnight Friday. Full swap. Theo, you got it. Trucks and muscle. Discreet. What's going on? Me, reclaiming a home. He didn't ask again. I spent the next few days smiling. I complimented the hideous floral love seat Molly had dragged in. I nodded politely when Violet suggested painting the kitchen cabinets almond cream to brighten the energy. I even let Tess hang another framed Bible quote in the hallway. I brought out lemonade when they stayed too long and offered snacks they didn't deserve. All the while, I was taking notes, labeling boxes, storing my real furniture in the garage corner, cataloging every item they'd inserted like it belonged. Friday night, as planned, Theo and 3 of his guys pulled into the driveway at 11:57 p.m. No headlights. No sound beyond the creak of the dolly wheels. I met them in the driveway with a flashlight and black coffee. Inside, we worked like ghosts. Room by room, item by item. The brass chandelier Tess installed? Down and boxed. My bamboo fixture? Back in its place. That garish burgundy rug Violet insisted felt warm? Rolled, tagged, and gone. By 2:30 a.m., every trace of them was erased. My couch, my ceramics, my clean lines back exactly where they belonged. The lamps I chose. The colors I lived in. The mood boards I spent nights perfecting. They weren't just decor. They were mine. My fingerprint. My freedom. I stood barefoot in the living room, the quiet humming like a song under my ribs. My hands ached. My chest swelled. I wasn't even angry anymore. Just clear. Theo gave me a long look before he left. You good? I nodded. Not yet. But I will be. When the last truck pulled away and the street fell still again, I didn't sleep. I made coffee. Sat on my own couch. Crossed my legs under the blanket I'd sewn years ago. Then I waited. Because morning was coming and they had no idea. They showed up right at 10 a.m. on the dot, like always. Like nothing had happened. Like they still own the place. Violet in pearls and perfume, Molly in leggings and judgment, Tess clutching yet another shopping bag. Ed lagging behind, grumbling. I was already on the couch, coffee in hand, dressed in black like it was a funeral. Because in a way, it was. They opened the door without knocking. Violet stepped in first and froze. I watched it travel across her face. That creeping confusion, the second of denial, and then the full body recoil. The burgundy rug? Gone. The brass chandelier? Replaced. The floral love seat? Nowhere to be found. My bamboo light glowed overhead like nothing had ever been different. Molly gasped. Where's the clock? Tess spun around. Did you move everything? Violet's heels clicked once, twice across the hardwood before she turned on me. What did you do? I took a slow sip. I reset the room. You threw it all out, she shouted. No, I said calmly. I gave it back. Molly's face twisted. That's betrayal. We tried to help you. Help. I tilted my head. By replacing me? Ed, who hadn't said more than 10 words in 5 years, muttered. She was never going to play along. Violet whipped around. Don't start, Ed. Then William finally walked in, late as always, rubbing his temple like it hurt to be alive. He looked around, eyes darting from wall to floor, confusion melting into full-on panic. What the hell? I stood, walked to the counter, picked up the deed folder I had left in plain sight. This house isn't yours, I said, opening it. It's not the family's, and it's not William's. It's mine. Paid in full. Protected by trust. Documented and signed. Violet turned red. You ungrateful. You trespassed, I cut in, voice flat. Repeatedly. William looked at me then. Really looked. You should have warned me, he mumbled. I didn't blink. I did. You didn't listen. The room was dead silent. Even Tess looked unsure now. And then, Violet did the only thing she knew how to do, stormed out. Her daughters followed, muttering. Ed stayed back 1 second longer, gave me a single nod, then left too. William stood alone in the entryway. No rug, no cross, no control, just truth. I sat back down, took another sip, and waited for what would come next. I thought it was over. I thought they got the message. But then, 2 of my framed prints disappeared from the guest room. A ceramic bowl was chipped. A lamp, one of my favorites, had been moved, and not gently. At first, I thought maybe I misplaced something. Maybe I was paranoid. But deep down, I knew better. So I checked. I opened William's laptop. His email was still logged in. I didn't have to snoop far. In his drafts, I found it. Mom says she still has that oak cabinet from Grandma's. If you guys want to swap it in next week, just do it before she gets back from yoga. She won't notice. Me. I sat back, shaking. They weren't done. They were waiting me out. Planning another round. I drove to the storage unit listed on the receipts I'd found earlier in William's closet. Showed the office clerk my ID and the signed slip. He buzzed me in. I opened the metal door, and my breath caught. It was a copy of my living room. Same layout. Same dimensions. But everything in their style. Burgundy and brass. Heavy wood. Floral. 3 fake plants. 2 framed Bible quotes. And empty photo frames, waiting. They weren't just rearranging furniture. They were preparing to replace me. That Sunday, William texted. Dinner at Mom's. Let's talk. I said yes. They were all there when I arrived. Violet, Molly, Tess, Ed. Even Jason, who stayed quiet near the window. I set a manila folder on the table and slid a few photos across the surface. I went to Unit 117. They froze. I saw the replica. The couch. The rug. The cabinet. All of it. Same setup. Same layout. Just without me. Tess opened her mouth to deny it, but Jason beat her to it. I told you this was too much. Violet glared at him, then hissed at William, say something. But William didn't defend her this time. He stood, hands trembling. It wasn't supposed to go that far, he said. She was right. You all went too far, and I helped you. He looked at me, eyes filled with something that might have been guilt. I let you down, he said. I didn't flinch. I opened the folder, pulled out legal notices, revoked access, new locks, eviction terms. You tried to erase me, I said, voice clear. But I'm still here. And you're all leaving. I stood. Jason looked at me. Need a witness? No, I said. Just the door. And I walked through it, finally done. William packed in silence. I watched from the hallway as he folded shirts, zipped his duffel, paused now and then like maybe he'd say something that mattered. He didn't. Just looked around the room like he didn't recognize it anymore. I didn't offer help. I didn't offer comfort. I handed him the box labeled office and opened the front door. He left with a soft, broken goodbye. I said nothing. Violet never reached out. Not a single word. Not even a half-hearted attempt at explanation or blame. Just vanished, like the whole thing had been a blip she could pretend never happened. Molly, though, she couldn't help herself. One text 3 days later. You ripped this family apart. Hope you're proud. I didn't reply. I just deleted it. But then there was Jason. 2 weeks after that dinner, after I'd repainted the living room and donated the remaining boxes, I got a message. You handled that like a queen. For real. If you ever need backup, I've got you. I stared at it for a minute, caught between laughter and gratitude. Jason had always been quiet, observant. He saw it all. I sent back a simple, thank you, means more than you know. I thought that would be the last of it. But then, weeks later, William broke the silence. A single text. It was a photo of the living room in his new apartment. Empty. Just a fold-up chair and a box of takeout on the floor. No rugs. No couch. No art. No warmth. The caption said, I just wanted peace. I stared at it for a long time. Not out of sadness. Not out of pity. But because I finally understood. He didn't want peace. He wanted control disguised as peace. Stillness, silence, submission, wrapped up with a bow and labeled compromise. And when I refused to play along, he called it chaos. So I replied, calm, final. You don't get peace by stealing someone else's. He didn't text back. He never would. And that was fine. The truth is, when people like William say they want peace, they usually mean they want you to quiet down, to shrink, to accept less than you deserve so they don't have to change. But me? I didn't find peace by sitting still. I found it by standing up, by choosing myself, and by making damn sure they knew I wasn't theirs to redesign. Not then. Not ever. 6 months later, the house finally feels like home again, quiet, warm, and full of light. My kind of light. The kind that doesn't ask permission to shine. I'm not married anymore. And I'm not sorry. There's a rescue dog named Milo curled up on the couch, friends who don't judge the chaos I came from, and a business that's grown faster than I imagined. I spend mornings walking the trails, evenings sipping wine in my backyard. No one barges in. No one rearranges my life. The locks are changed, the rooms are mine, and so is the peace. When people ask what happened, I don't give them the whole mess. I just smile and say, they tried to redecorate over me. Then I pause. I didn't scream. I just redesigned the ending. And that's what I did. I didn't lose everything. I let go of what was never truly mine and built something better. If someone tries to control your space, your voice, or your worth, don't argue louder, act sharper. Set boundaries, protect what's yours, and remember, silence isn't weakness when it's focused. You don't owe anyone your peace. In today's world, reclaiming your space is one of the strongest moves you can make.